Today I'm speaking with Stayc Simpson. She's the reigning Miss Achievement World 2022, and she's also the CEO of Imagination and Pageantry Now. She's also a three-time cancer survivor with heart failure, and she became the first woman to receive stem cells to repair the damage to her heart. She actually uses this experience to speak for the American Heart Association, and she's been featured on a ton of social media outlets, including the Today Show, talking about her experience. She's also a huge proponent of volunteerism and community service, and she has over 15,000 hours of her involvement. So she was the recipient of the President's Call to Service Award for that. Stayc, thank you so much for talking with me today.
I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Erica. I just am grateful for what you are able to share with other people and the stories and just the light, because there's so much. As a doctor, there's so much that many people don't know about what's happening in the world and about different illnesses, different, ways to treat people, different ways to be able to relate. And I think that it's awesome that you give opportunities for people. So thank you so much.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, genuinely, because after I learned your story, to see what you took from those experiences to make them a positive for everybody else just blew my mind. So let's start there. Can you talk to me kind of about your experience and how you turned that into such a positive and learn to speak on that? I mean, how do you even start that?
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting experience. I do have Asperger's, so I'm on the spectrum. I hide it very well, and honestly, I compete in pageants because it enables me to learn how to better deal with the world and learn how to speak to people. But 25 years ago, I was diagnosed with terminal Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they gave me 8 weeks to live. And at that point in time, I was told by my doctor, "Hey, there's this new protocol. We'd really like to try it. We don't know if it's going to work, but let's see what happens." And miraculously, I had two large tumors well over this. One was attached to my heart of the size of my hand, the other one wrapped around my neck. And the tumors were gone with about 6 months, totally gone, which was
Wow.
phenomenal. And
Wow.
yeah, craziness. And I was like, okay, well, let's try it. Like, I think I often say now that I think my Asperger's let me not deal with normal emotions that you deal with when you hear, okay, you've got 8 weeks to live. What do you do? I went to right, well, how do we fix this? I don't care about the emotional stuff. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I cried. I remember when I first got diagnosed, I probably cried for like 20 minutes, and then I went, okay, whatever, let's just go.
Hmm.
But I really didn't embrace being a survivor till 5 years later. My original diagnosis was on September 11th, 1996. So September 11th, 2001 was my 5 year anniversary. And it changed the world. And it was the day where I realized that I am not just someone living with cancer. I am someone that has survived it, and I need to share my story because there's so much heartache going on right now. And I had really bad survivor's guilt after 9/11. Like, I felt so guilty that I was alive, and why did God, keep me here? And so I came across a brochure for a fundraiser for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society to ride a 100-mile bike ride. And I went, you know what? I'm going to do that. And my
Because why
doctor
not?
my doctor was like,
Wow.
no, you're not. And I'm like,
Wow.
yes, I am. And although I didn't do the century ride, I did start training with Team and Training. And um, the very first time that I ever told anybody I was terminal, I didn't tell my family, I didn't tell any of my friends. I just told them that I had cancer. So the very first time that I ever said those words were in front of a potential group of people wanting to join the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And the emotions that I saw in the crowd really affected me to the point where I went, you know what? This has depth. Let me do this more. And about 6 months later, I had a dream. I won a pageant, and I went, oh my gosh, like, if I wore a crown, imagine how many people I could tell this story to. And then it kind of just trickled crazily after that. Uh, you know,
Snowballed. You're
yeah,
being humble.
yeah.
Stacey has done incredible stuff. So let's talk about that. I mean, you were crowned Miss Achievement World this year. So now you're using your advocacy. I'm seeing you all over online speaking and all of your news media talks. So how have you now used that going forward? I mean, it's incredible.
It's an opportunity to hopefully give hope. And I really try to share my story as much as possible. And it was scary and uncomfortable. And I really didn't know exactly how to tell my story. And I just said, you know what, we'll just move forward. I had some amazing opportunities. I mean, as crazy as it was during the pandemic, I had something really horrible happen to me. As a side effect from my original chemotherapy, I was diagnosed with heart failure in 2010. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything happened, I was having an anxiety attack, which I didn't know it presented as a heart attack. So I rushed to the hospital. And at the hospital, I had symptoms of my heart failure, but because no one really knew about COVID and what was happening, they put me in the COVID unit.
Ugh.
And so here I am with all of these horrible things with my body that put me really high risk and around all of these people. And there was no cardiac monitoring equipment because everybody was just trying to throw spaces together.
Wow.
And so I had partnered with the American Heart Association with my story with, they actually partially funded the stem cell program that I was put into in 2014. As a side effect of my chemo, like I said, the heart failure that I had in 2011 was exacerbated because I was hit by a truck riding my bicycle. So in 2012, they told me that I had several weeks to live, that my heart function had dropped to less than 10%. And in 2014, we fought to get me into this program because women are not included in most research studies. And so I became the very first woman, like you said, to receive the cardiac stem cells. And that really was where my partnership with the American Heart Association started, and really being a voice for them. I went from being the cancer survivor to being a heart advocate because it was so important. I often say cancer goes away, and I don't mean that in a light way. I understand the effects of chemotherapy. You lose your hair, the vomiting, your hair grows back, the vomiting eventually stops when the cancer goes away. You go back to a reasonably normal life. With heart disease, rarely do you ever go back to anything normal. It is always something that is going to be a challenge for the rest of your life. And so when this incident happened that I was in the hospital, it turned out I didn't have COVID, and they sent me home without any cardiac help at all. uh, I contacted the American Heart Association. I said, hey, this just happened to me. I really think we need to talk about the effects of what the pandemic is going to be doing to people that are at risk for heart disease or maybe having symptoms of a heart attack and are not getting help because they're afraid of what might happen to them if they go to the hospital. And then I was on so many shows, and it just was crazy. And the more that I shared that story, and the more that I shared my voice, and the more that I told people, get help. These are the signs. These are things to look for. 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with heart disease. Heart disease is the number one killer of people in the world. Women are least likely to get CPR because people are afraid they're going to hurt us. So we are way more at risk than men are. And then again, with Research Goes Red, which is specifically finding research programs and funding research programs for women, because women only represent 30% of research that's out there. We need to change that. And so that's where I use my voice. So
And you are changing it. I mean, I genuinely, this sounds so silly, but I have goosebumps the whole time just listening to your story today and learning from you, because not a lot of people have the courage that you have and the strength to use their voice and advocate for so many important things. So thank you so much for explaining that and sharing with us. I'm going to have links below so you can follow along as well. Thank you so much, Stacey.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you.